58 for the vacation.
All right, this is the Select Board meeting, May 7th, 2024, starting at 6:29. As a convenience to the public, it is available electronically via the Zoom link below or via HWCAM for viewing and participation. In the event of a technology failure, the meeting will continue in person. So, public input. 10 minutes is reserved for public input. All participants wishing to address the Select Board during public comment may do so in person or via Zoom by virtually raising their hand. Speakers must identify themselves by name and street address. The Select Board may not deliberate or vote on matters discussed during public comment, but are not on the agenda. So, anybody? Do we see anybody?
There is no hand raised.
All right. Then let's move on to reports and announcements, starting with the town administrator's update and town announcements.
Yeah, a couple events going on. I wanted to make everyone aware that the planning board is hosting their second MBTA Communities Public Forum on Wednesday, June 5th, 2024 at 6 p.m. For folks that are unaware, the state has added a new, essentially a law that is requiring all municipalities with an MBTA station to conform or to zone certain amounts of land with relatively high density and to support the affordable housing initiative from the state. So the planning board is again hosting a public forum that will be discussing this issue for any residents that are interested in attending would like more information. The Bucher School annual spring plant sale is Friday, May 10th at 2:30 to 5 p.m. and Saturday, May 11th, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. They'll be selling Mother's Day arrangements, pansy bowls, hanging baskets, annuals, perennials, and lots more. So come out and support the Bucher School. And then we're doing the Rain Barrel program again this year. So now I know I've been here a while because we're repeating programs, which is good. So this is a really good deal, I can say, because I've paid full price for them. So you get the residents at a $89 they're offering at residents, and then residents can also use a coupon code called WEN24, which will give you an additional $40 off. The pickup is you can order on the website, and feel free to contact the select board's office and we can give you the link. And it's the pickup will be Saturday, June 15th, 8 a.m. to 12 noon. That is all I have this evening.
All right, and then I'll just say that we had a new elementary building meeting that was pretty raucous. And the next steps are that Eric Tracy has decided that he needs to do a thorough survey, and he's now commissioned somebody to do that. And I think when we get the results of that, we should ask him to come and present to us so that we can decide our level of support for the current direction of that committee.
Thanks. I wanted to say something about the MBTA communities matter. It was in the news in the past week that a group of private citizens from Wenham, as well as a group of private citizens from Hamilton and I think Wayland and some other towns, had sought to intervene in a lawsuit that challenges the validity of the MBTA communities statute. And that lawsuit, there's one in federal court, and there's one in Essex County Superior Court. The plaintiffs in those original lawsuits, to my understanding, are private citizens of Rockport. And the items in the news recently were about groups of citizens in our town and other towns seeking to intervene in the state Superior Court lawsuit brought by the Rockport citizens. And again, the aim apparently is to ask the court to annul, overturn the MBTA community statute. I just checked the court dockets today, and the Superior Court judge in that case denied these motions to intervene on procedural grounds, though, and they could be brought back. I just wanted to make note of the fact that some of the news coverage in this area might confuse people about whether it is the town of Wenham or a Wenham board or any official body or person, officer in Wenham, who's trying to intervene to challenge that statute. And it's not the case. It's just it's a group of private citizens who obviously have the right, to hire a lawyer and do whatever they wish to do. But as one member of the board, I just want to sort of disassociate myself with that, with an effort to try to overturn that statute, which, as Steve alluded to, is something that the planning board and Peter on that board and a lot of people in town hall, including Kate and Margaret, have been working really hard to trying to find a prudent solution to complying with that statute. And so I just, what's that?
We do have a solution.
Right, exactly, and I think that it's the solution that at least has been preliminarily identified to me seems very reasonable, very prudent, and actually relatively modest with respect to the change that it might create in the particular parcels that are being looked at. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that because I don't want anyone to be confused that the town of Wenham is in some way participating in an effort of other towns to overturn that statute.
All right. Anyone else?
Thanks for that, Ben. On a different note, tonight is the Miles River Middle School Spring Concert, and chorus and band are performing this evening, so just good luck to the kids, and with apologies, I'm going to scoot out right before 7 so that I can catch my daughter singing.
Great.
Nice.
So I'd just like to remind everyone that we're into appointment season. So if you haven't put in information to Michelle that you want to be reappointed on a committee or board, or if you're new, and we welcome new members to fill the empty slots, now's the time to put your application in, which is available on the town website or directly by email to Michelle. So I'd like to fill up those boards. We'll be appointing everybody in June, right, as usual?
I have 2 quick updates. In addition to the Bucher plant sale, the Garden Club would also appreciate a quick shout out, which is going to be happening at the COA on Saturday. If you are unable to buy anything through Bucher on Friday or Saturday morning, you're able to go down for the Garden Club. I'm sure they would appreciate that as well. The other quick thing is registration for several fundraisers around town have been posted, specifically Melody Miles, and so the benefits go directly to the Friends of the Arts for Hamilton and Wenham. So if people can take a quick look at that, that would be great. Support the community.
On to item A. So at the last meeting, the board inquired whether or not other communities employed any type of policy or procedure or had agreement that kind of, guided newer members into the chair seat and to come up with a process that at least attempted to rotate the positions of the board so that everybody kind of got a chance at being chair, vice chair, and clerk. And ultimately, what we found out after polling probably 7 to 8, 9 communities, that none of them do it anymore. However, Danvers was the most recently, but due to the political climate over there, about 2 or 3 years ago, they, in an argument, decided to, nominate somebody and vote somebody else, and that was the sense for the end of it. But what they did, and it worked well. The town manager said it worked very well for about 40 years. They would do is that they would take, in a year that there was 2 seats up. It was just simply the person who got a nomination or was their right to decline the position was the one who hadn't been chair in the longest time. So if you had 2 individuals, one had been chair 3 years ago and one had been chair 5 years ago. The one who had been chair 5 years ago would kind of be their, they would be in the, they would be vice chair in the year before. It was kind of a conversation every year. They would kind of set up the clerk, vice chair, chair to, kind of make the progress happen. And in the event that that individual didn't want to be chair, which actually happened quite frequently, Danvers tended to rotate just between 2 people. Generally, it was always the chair, so the people didn't want to do it. But they would just simply, pass, and the person who wanted to be would have the opportunity. But that is up for the board to decide. But that is generally was kind of laughed at. I was like, oh no, it's like it's every person for themselves.
So here's my thought. So the 2 jobs should go to you 2. And because you're 3 years and he's 2, then I think you ought to be vice chair and he ought to be the clerk. And oh, by the way, we now have a new minute system,
Yes.
Yep, talking about
Right.
that.
which hopefully shall help.
Yes.
So you're not gonna have to do what Gary
Yeah.
did, and correct?
Yeah. I won't have to be a real clerk. Right. Yeah. Well, are you finished? I didn't mean to.
That's it.
Yeah. Right. I at the last meeting said that I supported Deirdre vice chair and still do. So I think that I don't disagree with your with what you just said. I think my own personal view on rotation system is that, and I know you're not suggesting, Steve, that the old Danvers system is one we should embrace. The thing I don't like about it is that you could theoretically have somebody on a board who gets, who's popular and gets reelected a lot, but who the other members basically think should not be the chair for whatever reason. Thankfully, we don't have that issue, on this board, because any one of us could, do a fine job in the position. But I wouldn't want to lock ourselves into that type of system myself. And I think that, it's probably a year-to-year kind of evaluation. But I've said enough, because I think Deirdre would be an excellent vice chair, and if the nominations shake out that way, I will happily take the clerk position.
I think we need to remember, too, that although in the recent past we had a nice 3-member rotation going, that if you look back in Wenham history, that for long periods of time, there was one individual that was repeatedly the chair. And also, there were times when that 3-member rotation got disrupted by the personalities of the time. So it worked, but as we have 5, doesn't fit into 3. So I think that as the other communities have found out, that it's going to be a year-by-year thing. But if we're ready to move on to B, unless you have other comments, I'll go ahead and nominate Deirdre as the vice chair.
Comments? Second. Discussion? All right.
Good.
So Peter votes yes.
Ben, yes?
Deirdre, yes?
Gary, yes.
Karen, no.
Karen, no?
No.
Okay.
Are we continuing with B then?
Well, yeah, we need to do the clerk.
Yes. So I nominate Ben as clerk of the select board.
Second. Discussion? All right. Peter votes yes.
Ben, yes?
Deirdre, yes.
Gary, yes.
Karen, yes.
All right.
All right.
There we go.
So,
We're on to C.
yeah, we're bringing the,
Switch seats for the next few minutes? Or?
It's okay. Stay where you are.
so we're bringing the handbook back just briefly. I know we have the hearing scheduled for 7:20. However, Deirdre will not be here for the hearing, so we can cover it briefly now, just so she is aware. Then we can conduct the hearing and actually make it official. But the couple changes that we are proposing are more in clerical corrections in nature. So the first being military pay on page 69. So this was unintentionally inserted. We used the Manchester's as the outline, right? Was it Manchester or Middleton? It started.
Manchester.
Yeah, and it was kind of a conglomeration of Manchester, Middleton, and Wenham. So unintentionally, there was, we believe, a Middleton's military leave policy was in the policy that was in the handbook that was adopted last time. The board had no discussions, of changing that. So we want to reinsert Wenham's unchanged military leave policy. So we're going to reinsert that verbatim from our old handbook. The other one is vacation time. So last year, we've had a couple conversations over the year whether 1 week is appropriate or more weeks, what other communities do for carryover. Ultimately, it was decided that we would, through COVID and up until last year, the board had suspended our vacation carryover policy, which was always up to 1 week carryover with permission from the select board. And so last year, we decided that was going to be the last year that the board did the 2 weeks, and that this year would be the first year that we will return back to the 1 week carryover. So it was unintentionally put in there as 2 weeks, and I caught it. So we want to change it back to 1 week. However, we sent out the notification this morning to all staff, reminding them that last year was the last year for 2 weeks, and this year is the first year for 1 week, and that we're, gathering all vacation accruals and requests for turnover, starting immediately, and will be coming before the select board towards the end of June. And, it was met with, some resistance. I think there is a lot of interest to keeping it at 2 weeks, particularly from public safety.
Fire.
And so, I mean, I personally am fine with the 2 weeks. I think that even 2 weeks is conservative, as a conservative vacation policy from my experience. I think it still puts you in a conservative position in the event that, because it really ultimately boils down to buyout cost. So how much, if the individual was to submit their resignation in the summer, how many weeks of vacation would you have to buy them out, right? So, if some have no cap, so you have, some communities have no cap, and you have accruals of months and months and months. So I guess, Peter and I discussed earlier, and we thought we would use this to bring it up to the board if there was any interest in changing it to 2 weeks. The decision doesn't have to be made tonight, but we thought we could have some discussion where it was on the agenda, and could bring it back next time to make any official decision, or unless the board knows which way it's feeling tonight, we can just put it to bed whether we leave it at 1 week or 2 weeks.
I spoke to the chief and the deputy chief this afternoon, and they said that they made a very compelling case as to why it should be 2 weeks. And I'm fully supportive of it. It's very different from any other department.
I don't see that as going to have any real fiscal impact year to year, whether there's a few that have 2 weeks carry over instead of 1 week, so I think fair enough.
Yeah, it's fine.
I agree. I think there's, we obviously just went through a pandemic, and there's, these types of events that happen that sometimes, may require public safety to work even harder than they typically do, and maybe not be in a position to use all their vacations. So to be able to roll over 2 weeks, I think, is reasonable.
Just for clarification, this would be applicable to all non-union employees.
And just to non-union employees, yeah.
Yeah, just to non-union, but not just public safety.
Right. Yep.
Okay, just-
Right. Yep. No, I'm still supportive of it, but I think just as as one example of why it's reasonable, I think.
I'm in full support.
Okay.
I think having the 2 weeks to be able to plan for FMLA time, any paternity or maternity, just to be able to have that is huge. So
Yeah, and another pro is scheduling this time of year. I mean, human nature, you wait till the last, you're like, oh my God, I gotta burn. So everyone's like, when are you out? When are you out? When are you out? So the whole month of June is like, like a blackout calendar.
Right.
Anyways, no, so that's great. Okay. And then the other items are Appendix A, which is page 85. Third paragraph down. It says specifically all employees and officials. It was supposed to say specifically all employees and elected and appointed officials, which, because that's what the sentence started with above it. And code of conduct and sexual harassment policy both need signature lines. And that's all.
There you go.
Good.
Gary?
Yes, so I think I went through it pretty thoroughly and gave Joe some of the typos things, but I saw a couple of policy things that I'd like to see changed in there is, there's a paragraph now on gratuities that makes some limitations, but I think we should have a reporting requirement in there as well. Say that, you know, you cannot take this level of gratuity, but anything below that you can, but acceptances ought to be reported to the town. So I'd like to see that, and don't have the immediate reference for that, but, yeah, but on page 42 anyhow.
Yeah, what we used to, sorry, but to that point, what we used to do in Danvers and it worked well was, you know, not so much reporting, but anything anybody got, you had to like share it with everyone. So you brought it, you know, to the lunchroom, you sent an email. It was just like, that was a policy, so it just worked well that way. Nobody was getting anything.
The other comment I'd make would be although this is just a handbook, I think we need to go back and make sure the references or the sources may need to be adjusted or changed. A lot of things that, for instance, appointments, a section in there, does that, what we put in the handbook, does that correctly reflect what is currently in the policies? Or other situations that I would want to put in is in each of these handbook items is sometime what I find missing is who's responsible. So I think for instance, we talked about requirements for gratuities. There's another one about overtime pay and so forth. So it tells the employee that this is the process, but then it doesn't identify who the employee should go to get further information. So perhaps where applicable in each of these sections, it ought to say that, you know, finance or town clerk or whatever, just to have a reference to who's going to do it.
No, that's good. And we have, and Kirsten provide, oh, sorry, Gary, are you done?
No, I just question, has the town council gone through this draft yet?
Well, town council went through the drafts that we adopted it from,
Right.
and then they went through specific clauses that we added or have
Right.
questions in it, but they have not gone through and commented on it as a whole, no.
All right. So I was just thinking that, you know, I gave it over to Joe, but it looks like on some stuff that we need to get the wording standardized. So, you know, we're talking about standards of ethical conduct, and then code of conduct, and then the ethics training. And so I think that we just need to be specific on, for the employee, that there is one code of conduct, and everything's labeled under that.
I'm not sure I followed it entirely.
Well, if you read through, if you
There's
read,
a section on ethical conduct
yeah, so-
standards, which is separate from.
yeah, so, and I think reading it as a new employee, it's like, what do I follow? You know, is it all of it? And if it is all of it, why isn't it all in one package rather than some here, some there, and whatever? So just,
The code of conduct is partly meant to be a pullout because it
Right.
applies across the board, whether you're appointed, elected,
yes,
or hired.
right,
Whereas the bulk of the manual is not going to apply particularly to our board and committee appointees who are not paid or employed.
right,
So the code of conduct is meant to
Okay.
be detachable, so it's sort of in addition
Right.
to. But the ethical standards is like a standard part of personnel manuals.
Right.
So I wouldn't want to
Yeah,
get rid
okay.
of that.
no, I did not get rid of it. I was just trying to get it, the
Organization.
the titles,
Yeah, the code of conduct we put in the manual so that it's
Right.
basically in one place, but it's meant to detach
Okay.
also for all the board and committee appointees.
very well.
I'm good. I went through a lot of it, or I read 90% of it. And I did have some notes that I can send over to you on just grammatical
All right, perfect.
I did have a question regarding vacation and regarding military leave, but I think we're addressing that, so. I do completely agree with Gary by having, and it will take a little bit to be able to provide the resources, but putting just in parentheses who it is that is the correct contact is great. One of the things I found in the last couple of weeks is not entirely sure where to go with specific questions. So I know this doesn't pertain to the questions that I had, but it'd be really beneficial for a new employee to be able to have at least an office to go to.
All right.
Yeah, it's definitely a living document, so it'll be, we'll be revisiting it, every couple of months, so it's good. Kirsten provided some feedback, so now we have more, and we'll just continue to evolve it.
Yeah.
Certainly a step forward from where we came from.
It's good people are reading it. That's the
Yeah.
whole idea.
Yeah,
And thanks to Joe.
yeah, for sure.
Happy to help.
I don't see, Tom Rudden's here.
Yes.
Can you see, is Colby here? So why don't we,
So we
let, is Martha, why don't we try to do one more before we jump to the IT. Want to do E, Martha Brennan?
sure.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, Martha.
Hi, Martha.
Thanks for having me here tonight. Steve, I don't know if you got my note. I'm actually going to speak on the human rights and for the community house, the next item.
Okay.
Coming from the Human Rights Commission, just to give you an update on our June plans and let you know that our Pride flag raising will be on Monday, June 3rd, between 6 and 7. The actual flag raising will be at 6:30. It'll be similar to events we've had in the past with participation from First Church in Wenham and the Tea House and local kids. So that's pretty much planned. We've been doing this since 2024, so keeping that tradition going. So that we don't really have any requests for that except for you to accept or approve our date. The other event for June is Juneteenth, which I think I mentioned last year that we had made a deal with Hamilton, the town of Hamilton, to sponsor a Juneteenth celebration in conjunction with the North Shore Juneteenth Association, who provides speakers and a singer and a poet. They do a fabulous program. And that we would alternate years. So last year, Hamilton paid and hosted. This is Wenham's turn this year. So we picked a date a little bit earlier, June 12th. I'm hoping that since it's before school gets out, we might get a better turnout. So that'll be June 12th at Town Hall at 6. Hamilton is co-sponsoring. And the cost for bringing in the people from North Shore Juneteenth is $400. So there is an ask for the select board to approve that expenditure. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know some of you have been to both of these events. I think they really reflect well on the town and our values. So hoping that you agree.
We appreciate all that you do, Martha. We do.
Thank you.
Do you want to, so while you're here, might as well we'll take it. Is everyone done? Any comments or questions? Because I believe Martha's going to present or talk to the board for agenda item F as well.
Doing.
Karen?
Well, can we get an agreement? Do I need a vote to spend the $400? I guess that's my question.
Yes, probably.
Do we have an account?
No, but we'll,
All right.
with the board's authority, we will fund it from out of town hall miscellaneous expenses.
I move that the Select Board approve the expenditure of $400 for Juneteenth celebration on June 12th at Town Hall at 1800.
Second?
Discussion?
I had a quick question. Martha, I have a quick question. Since the Juneteenth is actually not happening on Juneteenth, and the 6/12 is a date that the kids are going to still be in school, is there a way to work directly with the school departments, specifically the elementary schools, to bring in some educational aspects to this? They haven't yet left school. It's an
Right, that's what we were hoping. We're really going to push out to the schools to have the kids come to the flag raising and the speeches that they do, because it's really dynamic, it's really great. But the last couple of years, it has been on Juneteenth, and most people, as you know, leave town as soon as school gets out. So I'm really hoping that moving it back a week is going to get people to say, what's going on over there? Let's go check it out. So
Yeah, I
Happy to.
would truly like to see that encompassed inside of the curriculum, if we can find a way to do that.
yeah, happy to help the schools access, the same group, but they're very busy this time of year. As you can imagine, they're doing Juneteenth celebrations all over the North Shore. So
Okay, we'll vote. Peter says yes.
Ben, yes?
Deirdre, yes?
Gary, yes.
Karen says yes.
thank you. All right, now I'm going to take off my human rights hat, and now I'm here on behalf of the community house. And we're here to solicit support once again for our Sundays in Patton Park concerts, which have been going on for about 20 years, and it's a beloved tradition, especially for our seniors in town. We bring 8 concerts on Sunday afternoons, all different genres, from reggae to Beatles cover bands and all sorts of things. It's a nice event, a nice small town event. Wenham has generously supported us for the last 5 or 6 years. Last year, he gave us $1,600. We would love for Wenham to continue support at that level. It's really a great combination of the bands and the kids and the seniors. So hopefully some of you have been to some of those concerts, but happy to answer any questions.
No, we're very supportive. So,
You have been, and we really appreciate it, because it's really a grassroots effort that gets this going.
Motion then?
sure. Move to vote to approve Sunday concerts in Patton Park funding request in the amount of $1,600.
Second?
Discussion? Peter votes yes.
Ben, yes?
Gary, yes.
Karen, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, I'll see you in June.
Thanks, Martha.
Yep, bye-bye.
What's that? No, we gotta jump to IT while Tom's here, so we wanna bring Tom Rudden over.
And Dana, too.
Oh, Dana's here. All right, just so the board knows, we have Tom Rudden and Dana Morton here, both from Micro Support. We're going to jump down to item K, which is the overview of ARPA-funded IT plan and the timeline for connecting fiber ring installation and transition to virtual hosting platform to replace physical server located at the police station. So back in, I don't even remember the month, but probably 18 months ago or so, the select board, under its authority as executive board, appropriated about, I believe it was $250,000, $275,000 maybe, of ARPA funds to address our IT infrastructure and cybersecurity. So, and at our goal setting seminar last summer, they tasked the office with coming up with an IT plan that addresses those items for the money. And so since we have moved over to, with the funds, we've moved over to Microsoft O365. We've implemented multi-factor authentication. We've upgraded our cybersecurity. And the next step is we're going to, and we've had conversations about this in the past, is moving our physical server location at the police station to a virtual solution in the town of Danvers. So the town of Danvers is the lead in the North Shore IT Collaborative, where there is, I believe, 8 to 10 participating communities. They have virtual networks up for a couple of them, and it has been very successful. So, and the cost associated with this is more advantageous than trying to buy and maintain our own server. Rough math is Danvers is about $8,500 a year, I believe, and they will host this server on their physical servers and do all the maintenance versus, you know, a server replacement. When I did it in Marblehead, we were looking at, you know, $180,000 or something by the time you were all said and done. And then you got to replace it in 3 to 5 years, you know, so certainly more cost effective. Danvers will stay on, you know, on the cutting edge of technology. And to make that work, we're proposing to connect all town buildings to a fiber ring. So we'll be installing fiber network cabling that goes from the town hall to the police station to the fire station to the library to the iron rail, the DPW and water facilities. So we'll be all connected. Right now we're all at the mercy of the network and the network switches. So the internet really, you know, we're effectively connecting into our network here, our secured network through the internet. So, you know, my understanding that this will create kind of like a closed ring, and we'll also eliminate the redundancy of having multiple network switches at every location. We'll just have one that comes into whatever the police station, I believe. But I have Microsoft support here to, you know, just talk a little bit about you know, the work that they're going to be doing to connect it and the solution of replacing a physical server with a virtual server, and also just a little bit about to kind of reinforce that this is kind of a current best practice. It's, you know, it's the way to go currently and in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I think that the way that the town is moving is definitely in the right direction. I would say that, you know, 99% of our clients are already moving in this direction or have. And I think with the state of the world today and the internet and security, it's really the most secure option for the town. I'm sure that everyone in the room has heard about, you know, towns being victims of ransomware and cyber attacks. And I can't think of, you know, a client that really shouldn't do this more. And, you know, to Danvers' credit, they already have one of the servers of Wenham hosted there. I think it's for the assessors, right, Tom? And it's hosting the Patriots Properties application for them, so it's working well there. You know, this is what we do with our clients. We have 2 data centers, and we host the majority of our clients in those data centers so that they can access their applications. So I agree that I think the town is moving in the right direction to work with Danvers to do this. And then I'll let Tom kind of speak more towards, he's the director of our technical operations, towards kind of like the more particular work to get it going. And Tom, you're on mute.
Good evening, everybody. So working with Colby and Brad, they're going to do all the heavy lifting with the contractor that will be running the fiber, and I have submitted a a quote. There's a few of the endpoints need some equipment, so the network switch and a fiber connector, and that would be for the Council on Aging, the DPW, and the library. There's a connection between the library and the police station so they can manage their HVAC system, the Johnson Controls devices. So the fiber is really quite straightforward, and it puts you in its own little encapsulated network, very secure. Then you can get rid of all your other extra internet accounts that you have, like Comcast and Verizon, for each of those sites. So this is a smart move. The servers you have now are end of life, and it's time for them to either be replaced or moved to a data center. So moving to the Danvers data center that they have is the best thing to do. And those guys are smart. They're really good at what they're doing. And we're very happy to be their eyes and ears and hands-on, and all the things that they can't do for everybody, we can be there for you guys.
Yeah, and to, second what Steve was saying about the costs, like you really can't, the cost to buy another physical host to host the servers that the town of Wenham is using these days would just be really exponential, and really doesn't make sense in the way that the internet and network world works now. So the move to this virtual environment really is the most cost-effective move, and most secure in our opinion. I mean, to get this physical equipment off-site into a secure facility that really takes it's pretty much impossible to get into, and to get into that network, it really is the right move.
Great.
I don't know if any board members have any technical questions or anything like that.
I actually do. Question, where do the cables run? Are they underground?
So I believe that they're going to run them on the pole, and the contractor will know that.
That's my understanding.
We're not the cabling contractor, but I'm sure they're going to go from along the telephone poles. And there is fiber now that was installed probably like 2012, and when Hamilton and Wenham were a single town, and so that is a practice that they would normally do.
Yeah, and I just, to that point, I want to highlight that there was some discussion today through email with Joe Demilowitz, Andy, their IT consultant, and HW Cam, raising, concerns of why are we putting in, well, A, are we going to disrupt any of their operations with this project? And B, why are we installing, essentially redundant fiber? And so obviously we're going to research, and if there is any redundancy in a secure fiber ring, we won't replace it. However, my understanding is that, some of the fiber, particularly the connection between the police and fire station and town hall, is old and is no longer functional. And the solution that Andy from from Hamilton was suggesting, we can patch into the HW Cam fiber ring, then jump over to the schools, and then route through the schools over to the library. So, it kind of sounded like a lot of patchwork and band-aiding. And I think that what we're trying to do here is create, a secure network and just really do it right, and not try to band-aid and make it work and save a few dollars. It's like, we have this money. I think we want to, do it right and set ourselves up for the future.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think in the old days that the fiber was like a matter of means of convenience and a good way to set things up. But nowadays it's not necessarily just because it's convenient and good to do. It's a more serious matter of security and doing it right way and making it correct so that in the future it's working well and you're protected. So I think it has like a different there's a different reason to be doing it the way they were doing it than it was in the past.
That's all I have, unless there's any other comments.
Yeah, just the one comment that certainly the collaborative has worked well in the past, and that gives us the scale to acquire the technology, the equipment, and the expertise that Wenham, as a small town, really can't maintain. So I think this is the way to go, and ready to go forward with it.
Ditto.
Well, thanks, Tom and Dana. Appreciate you.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you.
No problem.
All right.
Thanks for having us.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
This is all really just an update, no vote needed. The board has already appropriated the money and tasked me with designing and implementing the project, but I just wanted, before I started spending, excess of $100,000, I wanted to run it by just one more time.
Can I ask a really quick question? So some
Sure.
of the locations that you listed were Iron Rail, Police, Fire, Library. You didn't mention anything about the district school building.
COA,
So COA.
yeah.
So is that? So
Well, we're not-
Where's Eric? I mean,
We're not looking to connect to their network. So what we're doing is the schools are separate from the town. Like, so we don't operate on the same, they're just as separate as like the town of Hamilton. We don't share a secure network, an email
I didn't
server.
realize that. Okay.
Yeah, network drives and applications and things totally separate. We have everything on the police station. They have their own IT folks and their own servers and things like that.
I didn't realize that. I thought
Yeah.
they were the same team. So I was going to say, if you're at the COA and going to library, why are we not encompassing the school?
Yeah,
But
that's
okay.
why.
That's fine. Thank you.
All right.
Where do you want to go next?
We can jump back to D. I know we're kind of all over the place, but this will get us back in order. So this was added last night. This is review and potential vote to sign Hilltop Securities bond anticipation notes. So this is the way Wenham has in the past. Pass these around, but we'll be circulating them for. This is something that the board signs every year. The way Wenham has historically set up their financing for projects, these encompass the projects for, I think, a small piece of the town hall project, the fire truck, and what was the other project? There was one other major
It's
project.
Longfellow, then Iron Rail are the taxable bonds, and then the tax exempt bonds for the fire truck.
Yep. So what we do is the way we've done it, right or wrong, in the past for the last 20 years, 15 years, we have short-term bond anticipation notes that we roll over year to year. It has worked out well for the town, considering the interest rate climate that we've been in for the last 20 years. And so we are, essentially doing it again. You do it every year. You pay off the short-term borrow, and you borrow the money again. And then you do it again next year. It gets a little smaller each time.
And do you need wet signatures on both of these?
Yeah, you don't need it. We'll circulate via sign now, but this was just, what it was is we were anticipating this package to come probably towards the end of next week, when there's a 2-week turnaround time, which through FedEx. So when we received it on Friday, it threw off our timing because we had to return the paperwork back to the Hilltop, our security advisors, before the next meeting. So instead of having an emergency meeting just to get signatures, we threw it on this because it was unanticipated. And we'll circulate the documents and everything through Sign Now. So if there's any additional questions when you review it, obviously feel free to ask.
Looks like Jeff may have something he wants to
Do you
say.
need wet signatures?
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, 'cause
all
it
right.
goes back to-
Don't listen to me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So once we vote on this, we should do that.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's state through, oh, got you right. Okay.
All right, so I move to vote to sign the Hilltop Securities bond anticipation notes.
Second.
Discussion? We'll vote. Peter, yes.
Ben, yes.
Gary, yes.
Karen, yes.
All right, so there's
Ben, do you want to start? And send us out?
Sure. So there are 2 spots in this one
I'll borrow you.
where we're supposed to sign, and then is that a separate contract? I wonder, or if it's a
I think it's a copy.
copy of the same thing.
The original and a copy.
Okay,
Both need signs?
Yeah, sign both of them.
it's 2 originals. Okay.
I didn't sign anything, Gary. Thank you.
There's one.
Am I going first?
Chair first.
That's it.
Yeah, I think it was just the two, and then everything else is town clerk and some other signatures.
Thank you.
Where's the other one?
All right, so here's the other copy. Swap.
You still need to sign it.
Yeah, there's one there.
Take that one. Michelle, I'm moving your stickies. I'm moving your stickies.
Oh.
All right, and then the same two places there. Okay. So this is just 4 of the 5, obviously, but that will suffice, it sounds like.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
great.
Okay.
There you go.
Moving on.
7:20.
Is it 7?
We gotta do the hearing.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Okay. All right, so, so why don't you just announce that the select board's gonna open and hold, what do we call it, a personnel bylaw hearing?
The select board is going to hold a hearing on a personnel bylaw at 7:24.
We need to vote to open it, or?
No, I don't believe so.
No.
We're just gonna conduct the hearing.
Okay.
If it's posted separately.
Right.
All right, so the hearing is held tonight to request the board to make the following amendments to the Town of Wenham Employee Handbook. On Appendix A, page 85, third paragraph, where it says specifically all employees and officials, we're going to insert that phrase with specifically all employees and elected and appointed officials. Page 69, military pay, where inadvertently Middleton's policy, which served as the general outline of this handbook, was left in, and there was no discussions to change the current military leave policy in the town of Wenham. So we are inserting the original town of Wenham military leave policy. On both the code of conduct and the sexual harassment policies, a signature line needs to be added. And that's all.
So I'll move to amend the Town of Wenham Employee Handbook dated June 9th, 2024 in the manner just described by the town administrator.
Second.
Do we have to check for public comment? Is that hearing? Anybody else?
Yeah, you can, ask for, I guess, ask for comments now, Peter, if you want.
Any comments from the public?
No hands?
No hands, right?
Yep.
So, close it?
Yeah, we just finished the vote and
I vote yes.
Ben, yes.
Gary, yes.
Karen, yes.
All right.
And so I move that we close the open hearing at 7:26.
Second.
Vote yes. Peter?
Ben, yes.
Jerry, yes?
Karen, yes.
All right, there was, I think there was some inquiries onto the implementation of certain warrant articles, namely Article,
I had 14, 18, 19, and 21.
yes, 14, 8, yep, agreed. So, these are all bylaw changes. So the first step is when the town clerk will finish her minutes. So that's the written record, that's the official record of what happened at town meeting. We'll then review her minutes with the recollection of Lauren Goldberg, our counsel. Once they, reconcile any differences, we will then send the bylaw amendments have to go to the Attorney General's office for approval. Once they get approved, it gets sent back to us, and we have to post it for 2 weeks. We have to make a public posting for 2 weeks. And then we'll implement them. And they will be in draft form on our website, and will be updated in our E-Code 360, which is our bylaw hosting site, probably before the end of the year. We'll do an update once, because we're anticipating additional zoning bylaw amendments to be made at the special town meeting. So we'll do a final update. And the implementation of the plastic bags, the plan currently is to send a notification to all residents. And originally it was going to be to commercial, any through the assessor's database, any commercial, industrial, coded property, to get a notification just to alert them of the change. But Wenham isn't that big, so I think we're just going to send it to everyone. The intent is that it's self-policing. We do not have the staff or the capacity. We share a part-time zoning enforcement officer with Hamilton, so he's not going to be going out doing inspections, but we'll follow up on any complaints. Similarly with the amended the zoning bylaw for outdoor storage and stockpiling of junk, I think that's similar. It'll be on the website, and self-policing. The zoning enforcement officer will respond to complaints. And the bylaw organization, that's that will be in place once we have the public posting. And the one more was the 21. So that one, Gary raised a concern about whether the amended proposal changed term limits, and if it did, was it in the four corners of the warrant article? So we told Lauren of our concern, so she's waiting for Kirsten to finalize her minutes, and then we're going to probably pull Roger in and make a determination whether the amendment was appropriate before going through the process of sending to the Attorney General's office, especially considering we've already kind of messed this one up once, so we don't want to do it again. And that's all. If there's any questions or any other articles, if there's any concern with.
So who's going to do 17, the septic loan program?
That's finance.
All right.
So finance is doing that. So Jeff has a lot of experience with that from Essex, so he's gonna kind of be the point person on that. And then it's just the packages will go complete to the Board of Health for their signatures, so they don't have to do any paperwork or compiling of anything.
Sounds good. And the other question is the OPEB money. It becomes available with the town meeting vote. When will the NGOs out there anticipate receiving the funds?
The NGOs.
No, non-government, like on a museum or the others.
Oh, July 1.
I think Lauren told us last time that they're supposed to be dispersed right after town meeting, that it's not a fiscal amount. Something to check on.
Yeah, that wasn't my understanding, but we'll certainly
Right.
double check on that.
All right, we saved the best for last, right?
The website.
Yes.
Website update.
So this is really not much. I believe I gave an update, and there was some requests as to what's going on with that. But it's really hasn't gone any further. Where for folks that weren't here, the backstory is Ben Timon organized a website committee, a search committee, and we met several times and entertained a number of different vendors, and ultimately I think fell on a unanimous decision that Civics Plus was probably the best product for Wenham. Is that accurate, Ben?
Yes. Yeah, I was.
And so with moving forward with that, just totally out of chance, we received a bill from Civics Plus with past due amounts dating back 3 years plus. So then, through some detective work, we found that a prior town administrator had entered into a contract with Civics Plus and paid $13,500. Excuse me, $13,000, and we were getting past due bills on the additional $500 because the contract was for $500. But the work was never done, and nobody here. There was no, there's nobody here that was here before, so nobody knew about the contract, and it had been, like I said, it was 6-7 administrators in as many years. And similarly, turnover in the finance office and all over the place. So we were working with them to find a mutually agreed solution where they will hopefully honor. We have not been super successful with, at least in part, the contract, particularly around the labor rates with the migration of how many pages of website are they going to migrate over to the new setup. How many minutes are they going to migrate over from the old to the new? And 5 year, there's a few other things like a 5-year refresh and things like that. And, we've kind of conceded that we understand it's a new product, so it's not the same product. However, my point to them is that, we paid the money. I would think that you would honor at least the labor rates, right? And would, pay a little bit more, but we're very, very far apart in the way we interpret that. So that's kind of TBD.
I'm curious, just like in overall timeline, what do you think? Is this going to be?
Well, I
think Q2 calendar year.
I think it really depends on
Q3.
Yeah, I think it depends on how and when we break the impasse, whether we can break the impasse on this unusual issue. It's a peculiar way to begin the business relationship with this vendor, and under maybe some circumstances, someone in our position may just say goodbye, or we're gonna have a dispute over money that was paid for services that maybe weren't fully provided. But here, I think it doesn't. Those unfortunate facts don't change the assessment that our working group reached after a lot of research and interviews that they do seem to have the best product. So I think we just probably need to make a decision as to whether we're going to cut ties with Civic Plus and not use them, or go forward with them under terms that we're not thrilled about as it regards the prior relationship. So I think we just need to make a decision on that soon so that we can then answer your question about, when is the new website going to be?
Having purchased a lot of services in my years, you really make a mistake if you don't purchase the best one.
Yeah, and I think our feeling was that their product is it's not to say they blew away everybody else, but they're by far the most used website provider of Massachusetts cities and towns.
Yep.
And we liked kind of their different frameworks, and we think it will help a lot in streamlining and improving our website and making it more accessible and useful to the public and to employees of the town. So I agree with you. But I don't know, maybe we want to have another group meeting just to focus in on, okay, how are we going to break this impasse?
Yeah, why don't set set a goal, like we'll have another meeting, obviously, but just to try to come back to the board with, by the end, the second meeting in June with our answer. Like, do you think
Sure.
that's doable?
Yeah.
Like, basically, like, we're gonna go with them, pay the full price,
Right.
go with them with our
Right.
new deal, or we're not dealing with them anymore, and we're gonna,
Right.
like the second runner-up was revised, stay with who we have
Right.
now.
Right.
Just go to their new product.
I don't know this for sure, but I get the sense, and maybe you know, or maybe Joe knows, that Civic Plus is owned by some very large, maybe global organization, which I could be wrong about that, but I've seen other products that sound like have some version of Civic Plus in them, and I think even in like patent litigation that I've read about recently. So I don't know, it could be that the organization is so vast that we can't get a decision very easily out of that company.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair, because I know their argument to us was like, we have to run it up the flagpole, like we have to sell it to all these guys. I mean, I don't know. In my mind, it was pretty cut and dry. It's like we
Right.
wrote you a check for 13 grand, got nothing in return. Like, let's
Right.
at least, like they're like, well, we discounted the price so much, we've already given you the 13 grand. Is essentially what they responded with.
It's not your fault
Right, but we need.
What's that? It's not what.
that we paid $13,000 and got nothing for it. No, it's not the fault of anybody in this room.
No, and I agree, but I guess at the very least, give us the credit
Right,
for the 13 grand,
right,
and then just charge us all the today's rate.
right.
Right. At the very least, I mean, I would think that would be.
Yeah, and we obviously have an obligation to continue to really push it, because it's it's taxpayers' money, and we're trying as hard as we can
We're gonna be good stewards.
to get the best deal. But
The other thing I would say to you is this is probably the most important project we have going on for the town. Because our ability to communicate to our citizens sucks. I mean, flat out, it's terrible.
yeah, it's
It's going to be, when this thing launches and people start figuring out, oh my goodness,
right.
it's going to be a revelation. I mean, people are going to be astonished at how easy it is to find out what's going on in Wenham.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we made it a big, top priority for good reason. So I know, I think that, to me, that sounds like a good idea, that by the June meeting, we should have have a solution with what we're gonna do with Civics Plus, and maybe, set
I'm just going
the best of bad sets of
to
decisions.
penalize pound foolish
True, yeah.
Yeah.
on something that's very important.
I do like their version of Code Red. I think that was the biggest selling point for me.
Mm-hmm.
Was their the tool, the text messaging alerts, because you could get so granular in what you wanted to hear. Where Code Red was so broad. It was like you either got everything or you got nothing.
Right.
You either got everything through text. You know what I mean? It was kind of like that broad. With this, it's like, I just want to hear when human rights posts a new agenda, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you'll get the text for.
Yeah,
So
Right.
it's kind of nice.
Sounds good.
all right.
Any further discussion?
Minutes, right?
No minutes. I do have one.
So my comment about the minutes,
Oh yeah.
No, the minutes,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the minutes. Oh my God. Yeah.
they were really long. Even, I looked at the most current one, it's
Still kind of wordy for you.
very wordy.
Did she say, though, she has other versions where it was less?
Yeah, I mean, she did call that out.
Did you guys look at them?
Yes.
Did you have the same impression?
Well, I think,
Yeah.
just traditionally, during Catherine Tinsley's period, they have been very complete minutes. So I think it's up to the board to say, how much detail do we want as to, what individual select board members say? Is that important to us? Or just summaries on each issue, which would shrink it down quite a
She
bit?
did say that, well, she currently works with Catherine Tinsley in Hamilton. And so she uses, like, to the extent the board liked it, it seems like it does, she uses Catherine Tinsley's template that the board had grown accustomed to over many years. And, she highlighted that as, I don't know if you want to call it a weakness, but something that she's working on is being more succinct, that she knows that she can, put some maybe too much detail in there.
I mean, I read Catherine Tinsley's minutes for the planning board.
Yeah.
And they are definitely more succinct.
Right, so you want to give it a try? Or?
I think we should.
I think so, yes.
All right.
For Ben's sake.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Okay.
When you say that the ones that you've read are really long, are you referring to the, like,
Michelle
under the
said
last system, or?
4 examples?
No, the samples.
Oh, the samples. Okay, got it.
I looked at them, I was just,
Yeah.
I had a hard time following them, to be honest. I thought the punctuation, the accessibility, the easily to be able to reference something, it was,
I did see mistakes.
I mean, there were mistakes, it wasn't a document that I could easily pull something from. I wasn't pleased.
These were the samples?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
you're gonna have a tough time.
Right.
And it's truly punctuation, grammar, and spacing that you're spending 50% of your time off the bat
Yeah.
to be able to differentiate a motion to a comment to
Right.
an editorial comment in there, which nothing should be editorial. There shouldn't be a passion behind it. It should just be note taking.
Right.
So I wasn't too excited about it.
So I have not read the sample minutes. So I think since I'm the newly minted clerk, I guess my preference would be that I do that.
Take a peek.
And maybe we can defer a decision until next time.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Alrighty.
Are there other samples he can take a look at?
Yeah, there's probably tons of samples. She does all the planning board minutes in Hamilton. So yeah, I mean,
Is there a meeting that we can get that Ben has attended, so Ben has that fresh knowledge of exactly what was said during that meeting?
do you go to Hamilton planning board meetings?
Haven't been to one in a while.
I'm just trying to think, like, if you hand me the
Yeah.
minutes and I wasn't there,
Right. Yeah, I get
I'm
you.
reading it and I'm like, this is great, but I
Right.
don't actually have the context behind it. So maybe even
Right.
if she did one of these,
You're saying like a trial?
Yeah,
yeah,
that'd be
Yeah.
great.
yeah, or
That
did
makes
today.
sense.
We don't have an amazingly lengthy agenda.
Okay. Even though the discussion.
We did bounce around a lot, so it'll be a good test to
Yes.
see if she can play ping pong on the agenda items. But
Okay.
Having him attend a meeting that he then has to read is helpful.
Okay.
yeah, sounds good to me.
All right. We'll do that.
So that's everything, right?
Yeah.
So I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting, and I note that our next meeting is on the 21st of May.
Yes, that's correct.
It is. I am going to request that executive session do not start till 6:30. I have jury duty in Lawrence.
Good. That's too bad.
Knock on wood, Peter.
6:30 start
They're
then.
calling you now.
So 6:30.
Second.
I like that better too.
And then as far as we had talked about implementing an alternating hybrid or alternating in-person remote,
Yes.
is that
Maybe we could put it on the agenda for the next meeting?
Yep. That's easy. So, do we have a, did we have a
Oh,
We
motion?
have a motion and a
second.
second.
All right. Clay votes yes.
Ben, yes.
Gary, yes.
Karen, yes.
Thank you, Michelle.